Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football on Football. For today, I'm joined with my co-hosts Lane and Brock, where we will be talking about the upcoming Euros, going through the groups and the knockout rounds following it, and talking about who we think will get through the groups, who are the favorites, and who the potential upsets could be throughout this Euros. Here we are on our group predictor. We will be going through each one of the groups and giving our thoughts on each group, who will win, who will come second, and who will be the top third place teams moving on to the knockout rounds. And I'll dish it off to Lane to see what he thinks about Group A.
Well, I think this is a pretty settled group. I think you got Italy coming out first pretty easily here. They got a young, exciting squad. It could go either way. It is a group that could go either way. Exactly. Switzerland, Turkey, Wales, a lot of talent on all the teams. Italy, young, up and coming team. Bastoni, Locatelli, a lot of players like that. I got them easily finishing first. Second for me, it's a tight call between Switzerland and Turkey. I'm going to put Turkey because I feel like with their young, talented squad, they're just going to be underdogs and a dark horse. And then, like Devin just moved it up, I have Switzerland coming third with the experience and the young talent that they have. But I think they'll be the third team that pulls through. And Wales, for me, they could be a surprise team, but I don't think they'll be able to beat Turkey or Switzerland in this group.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. Italy's definitely the most powerful team in this group. It's definitely from a consistency and from a current roster standpoint, they have just superior talent to any of the other teams. And Turkey and Switzerland will definitely be battling for that second spot, and it's quite possible whoever comes third here will end up moving on to the knockout round, regardless, depending on their result. But Wales could give an upset, and that could definitely make things interesting regarding that third place spot. What do you think about this group, Brooke?
I totally agree. I think Italy's got first almost in the bag. I mean, with the likes of Immobile, Belotti off the bench, there's just a lot of power on that team. I could really see Wales being a Cinderella story in this group and finishing second, and I think I would have to rank Switzerland over Turkey just after the World Cup performance. Although 3 years ago now, I like what Switzerland has for a team there.
Yeah, for sure. Switzerland's definitely still have some good ability. They have some good pieces throughout the midfield and a good solid core at the back. They can definitely surprise a few teams for sure. Moving on to Group B, another group that you could argue is a little bit clear cut. What are your thoughts on this one, bro?
Well, Russia surprised me again 3 years ago in the World Cup with how well they played. I think Belgium has to be a clear-cut winner. Um, I think Finland's probably going to be the fourth place team there. And I think Denmark and Russia will slug it out for that second spot.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think Belgium, as you say, is definitely the clear cut, the soft rank in the FIFA rankings right now for a reason. They have so much quality and dynamicism in their attack with the likes of Lukaku and Eden Hazard. If you can get back to form within this tournament, and you still have Mertens, De Bruyne, the list goes on with their attacking options. And as I totally agree with Finland, Finland are definitely the far worst team in this group. Denmark and Russia will be fighting for that second spot. I would definitely have to give Denmark the edge, but you could definitely give Russia that second spot as well. They surprised a lot of people a few years ago with their defensive style and being able to play off of that. What are your thoughts on this group, Wayne?
Well, for me, I'm going to start from fourth place, which is obviously Finland. And I got a shock here. I got third, going to be Russia. And Belgium, for me, is going to be second. I just don't like Roberto Martinez, the manager. A slow back line. Mignolet shouldn't be in the squad anymore. Vermaelen, Alderweireld, Vertonghen. The back line is too slow. I feel like they're going to be one of those big teams that every year you see at a national team tournament that's going to be dropping off. And I feel like this Belgium team could easily do that. Romelu Lukaku and Mertens could easily carry the weight, but I don't see them being able to do it without the likes of Eden Hazard and Thorgan pulling along. And both the Hazards haven't really had a great year. And if you look at this Denmark side, I have them being your Cinderella story this year. I was going to say Sweden.
Uh-oh.
Christensen at the back. You have Eriksson and Delaney with Hoiberg in the midfield. That's, for me, one of the best midfield in the league or in the Euros. And up front, you still got the likes of Kasper Dolberg, you have Skov, you have Martin Braithwaite. And at an international level, that experience and youth is going to go a long way. And I feel like that's just going to beat out Belgium in this group.
Yeah, and you know what? You can't forget about Poulsen up there as well. And I would totally agree on Denmark having a very strong midfield going into this tournament.
Yeah, certainly. They definitely can't be underlooked. I totally agree with them being a potential Cinderella story. They definitely have to be one of the teams outside of some of those top nations that have to be considered a real threat in this tournament.
My favorite group here now. My favorite group.
Moving on to Group C, we do have a fellow Dutchman of his origins in the group here. Let's hear what Brock has to say about his Dutch and what he thinks they can do in this group.
You
Well,
suck.
you could call me biased or not, but I think Netherlands have got this group on lock. I believe that the captain, Memphis Depay, is going to carry this team. He's shown that he's matured not only as a player, but as a leader. I think his leadership skills going into this tournament are going to give the Netherlands an edge, especially in the group stage. Losing Van de Beek, obviously a big loss, but still a strong midfield with Wijnaldum and De Jong and many other guys that can fill in for Van de Beek. They've been playing a two-man striker system with Weghorst up top, who's had a great friendlies matches so far. And I think with Depay, they're going to be just fine, even without Van Dijk in the back line.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're still going to be very comfortable within this group. I think we'll see the effects of the likes of Van Dijk and Van de Beek being out more so in the later rounds, but there isn't really anyone that threatens them to this degree in this group. And if this shows
No, I
through
think
quite comfortably.
Yeah, I think Austria will have a strong team as well, and I think they'll secure that second spot.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be Austria and Ukraine that I would expect to be fighting for that second spot. Austria probably gets my edge as well, but I definitely don't think Ukraine are going to go down without a fight. I think that's going to be a close match between them to decide it, but Macedonia's got to be fourth for me, no doubt. What about you, Lane?
I actually have Macedonia coming third and being one of those third place teams that squeaks through. I got Ukraine coming fourth. I think just North Macedonia, the excitement and the passion around that team, the youthfulness with Barty, the young talent in the midfield of Elmas, and then obviously it's got to be Austria and Netherlands going through. Austria, for me, is going to win all their games besides against the Netherlands, maybe get a tie, but I highly doubt it. You got some unbelievable talent. Alaba, you got Bachman and net, and then you got Netherlands, who are just going to walk this group for me. I don't think they're going to have much trouble here. Austria maybe is going to trouble them. North Macedonia could be a shock, but besides that, I don't see much challenge for Netherlands and Austria in this group.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe the young youthfulness of Pandev brings Macedonia into second, but I think it's very unlikely. But even just seeing them get into the knockout rounds via the third place finish would be absolutely amazing for someone of their size as a nation and their stature as far as a footballing nation to get into the knockout rounds. Moving on to Group D, the so-called betting odd favorites, although for a football favorite, they might not be many people's odd favorites. But we have the likes of England over here. Where do you think you see this group going, Lane?
Coming home. England are coming first. A bit of English in my family. I'm cheering for England all the way. I might be wearing Spain, but don't make it fool you. I got England coming first, and they're going to walk this group for me. They could make a slip up here. I feel like if they're going to slip up, it's going to be against Scotland because Scotland just has first tournament and international tournament in God knows how long. And they might have some passion, some belief going in behind them, but I don't see them getting in. With the home stadium advantage, they might be able to pull off a win for Scotland or a draw somewhere. But England easily walked the group. Harry Kane's going to be a goal scorer for the tournament. And then I'm going to have Croatia as my second place team. And I just think the passion, the emotion, the home stadium for Scotland's going to put them in the third. And then unfortunately, Sofian Kufel and Thomas Suchek are going to fall down to fourth place. I don't think they have the quality in that squad to beat out the likes of Croatia and England.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think the Czechs definitely have some quality players, as you mentioned, in Kufal and Susic, but the key word there is players. They don't quite have enough of a squad around it to be able to compete at this level, I don't think. So I think that inevitably puts them fourth, and I agree. I think England and Croatia are definitely the 1-2 here, and I think England takes down that one spot. Croatia have such a strong midfield, which will carry them through as well, again, through this tournament with the likes of Modric, Kovacic, and Brozovic. But England have a much stronger attack, and you could argue as well a much stronger defense. I think they're just a superior side and one of the favorites for this tournament for a reason. So I think that's probably how this group fills out. But what do you think, Rod?
I think I would totally agree with that ranking. Croatia, I think, could really give England a run though in some of these games. I think I was most excited to watch Croatia play 3 years ago in the World Cup. They had a great run, but a team now that's gained a bit of age on an already aging squad. So we'll see how they play out, but I think England will take this group for sure.
Yeah, certainly. Moving on to Group E. Of course, now we have a Swede in the group as well with Lane. They've taken some rough losses due to COVID in the last couple of days. What do you think about this group?
Um, For me, I got Spain. I wouldn't say they're going to walk it. I think they'll make it through maybe 2 wins and a draw, or maybe just 2 wins and a loss. I see them losing somewhere in this group. I don't see Spain coming out easily with all the COVID knocks they've had to Busquets and the likes of others. And then you have Poland, Sweden knocking out for me. Slovakia for me, easy fourth. I don't see them troubling Poland or Sweden, and not Spain. Let Spain have a short horror show. Poland and Sweden. I got Sweden coming third, just with the COVID they've had. Svanberg and Kulusevski easily going to miss the group stage now. With the COVID they've had out for 2 weeks, and Poland, Lewandowski, Chesney, quality in that team with Zielinski too. They're going to be in second.
Yeah, for sure. The losses for Sweden really hurts them. Of course, you have the likes of Zlatan, he goes out with an injury. You have Kulusevski, who's arguably your next best attacker, go out with a virus, as well as Svanberg. It's a lot of key losses for this team, which really sucks right before a big tournament like this. I think inevitably, you could have argued that Poland definitely would have been the second team in this group before then, but he definitely increases their odds now. And of course, Spain now are going to be without, as you mentioned, Sergio Busquets and Marcos Llorente in their midfield for at least through the group stage. If they don't have them back for the knockout rounds, it could make it a little bit interesting, but I think Spain are still far and away the best team in this group. Any
Yeah,
differences of
totally.
opinion there?
No, totally agree. I think Sweden, before they lost those three key players, I think Sweden takes second. But after losing Zlatan, Kulusevski, and Svanberg, there's no way that they finish second, in my opinion.
Can't really disagree with that there. Moving on, though, to the group of death, most definitely a group where we might have a little bit more debate. France, Portugal, and Germany. Poor Hungary. They don't even have their best player, arguably, in Sabolajai. And they were already in tough, and I mean, now they're here. It just is. But what do we think about 1 to 3?
It's a toss up. It's a toss up. Obviously Germany were very disappointing for the World Cup, which although 3 years ago, I think Joachim Low handled a lot of things poorly with that team, with Muller and Boateng, and I believe the third one was Hummels that he said were dismissed from the team, and then look at that, Muller ends up back on the team. I'm not sure if Boateng or Hummels ended up making it as well, but I think Germany, I think Germany either wins the group or finishes third. That's how I see them coming out. And France and Portugal, again, a toss-up. Portugal, Bruno Fernandes, obviously CR7. Portugal's got a great, strong team. Not sure what I'm thinking. And France, obviously, the defending champions. I think France takes this group, and I think Portugal comes second. And unfortunately, I think Germany finishes third.
Yeah, I think you nailed it for me there too. Some groups you got to overthink, like the upsets and the Cinderella stories. You can't overthink this group. I think it's just simple: 1, 2, 3, 4. France, Portugal could end up in the final against each other. At least they're going to go extremely far in this tournament. And Germany, third place, but they could go to distance depending on who they play in the next rounds to come. So it's pretty easy for that group.
Yeah, I think I feel a pretty similar way about this. I think France, for me at least, is the favorite going into this tournament, and they probably end up finishing number 1. But really, it's just going to depend on the form of any given day. It's 3 games, and it's specifically in this group 2 games. And if France shows up one day and Portugal doesn't, or vice versa, then the group can flip on its head pretty quick. But with going just based on what you can know going into the games, I think this is probably what I'd have to say as well going into it. And as you mentioned, Brock, it is very weird how that happened with Lowe, with the likes of Muller, Boateng, and Hummels. It's being said that they would never be back in the international team, and now you see the likes of Muller and Hummels back on the squad this year. Moving on, the 4 best third place teams. Who do we think gets in amongst these 4? Lane, you already said that you had Northern Macedonia getting in as one of the 4. Who do you think are your other 3?
I think Germany got to be a shoe-in. I think they're going to beat the absolute living piss out of Hungary, and they're going to score a crap ton of goals. And then for me, it comes down to Switzerland, Scotland, and Sweden. I got Russia out. It could be easily down to whoever has the worst opponent in their group, or whoever is got the best squad left. I got Switzerland just because that group for me is a toss-up right now between Turkey and the last place team has no chance. And between Sweden and Scotland, I'm going to have to go with Scotland. Like I said, I feel like that emotion, the passion behind that Scottish national team is going to put them straight through. And I think they're going to have the power to put some past the Czechs and maybe Croatia.
Yeah, for sure. I think Germany, like you say, they're going to plot in goals against Hungary, and that's just going to get them there, even on sheer goal differential, even if they lose their two against France and Portugal. Scotland could definitely get in a win. I'd love to see Macedonia in the knockout rounds. The reaction from their fans would be absolutely spectacular. And Switzerland's definitely it's also up with Turkey as well to get second in their group. What do you think, Lane? Or not Lane? Lane already answered. What do we think here from Brock with regards to the third place teams?
I'm in agreement with Switzerland, Macedonia, Scotland, and Germany as well. I'm very excited to watch Germany play. I feel like we should have seen more Germany in the World Cup, and definitely changed up the lineup a lot from what they went into the World Cup with. So I'm very excited to watch them play, and I think they will get in on goal differential.
Watch them play against the Dutch.
That'd be something.
I don't know. I definitely agree with Scotland. I definitely agree with Germany and Switzerland. Macedonia, I'm not certain on, but I also don't feel confident in Russia and Sweden. So I don't feel like Sweden have enough going forward anymore to get themselves great results against Slovakia. And Russia's ability to get anything other than draws or losses also concerns me with some of the style they've played in the last few years. So I think you could sell us
Did
up for me between Russia and North Macedonia, but that's probably about it.
did Sweden end up taking Berg at striker for
They
their
did.
team this year?
They did, yeah.
They did. Okay, so we'll see him on the pitch again.
They do have Berg, but no Kulusevski, no Zlatan. It's going to be tough. They're definitely lacking up top. Yeah, they have Berg and they have Isaac, and then they have Larson from Spartak. But
Oh yes.
yeah, it's going to be rough. They have Ken Sema as well from Watford and Quazon, so they still have a lot of options, but it's definitely not at the same quality that they could have had.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to watch Kai Havertz play for Germany. I think it's going to be a very different team without Brandt and Royce in that lineup. No Draxler as well.
No,
Though I believe
definitely.
no Draxler, but it's going to be
I think so.
exciting.
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if that Germany team can have a better bounce back campaign for sure.
When they beat
Maybe Timo Werner can find form on the national level,
Be nice to see.
international level. Sorry.
Nice to see him get a few clips for some nice goals as opposed to getting memed every day. But remains to be seen. If he struggles to continue to score again, it honestly might be tough for them again. But remains to be seen. But I think that is our rough, fairly undisputed picks going into the round of 16, and we will bring you guys into what we think will happen in the knockout stage. Moving on to the round of 16, we will be going through and deciding the rest of our bracket. And I'm going to get an ask of the German and figure out if he thinks Germany can get past Denmark or if it's going to be another disappointing performance for Germany in another international tournament.
Well, regardless of whether this is Denmark or Belgium, who would be the other team seated there, I'm going to go Germany's going through. I know you guys might disagree with that. I can see some heads shaking. Um, I think Germany, if they're able to make it out of the group stage, I think Germany could really give it a chance here and have a late push. I think Germany's back line, although maybe a bit shaky, would be able to hold off the likes of Olsen and Dolberg up top. But we'll see. I got Germany going through there.
Wrong. I got Denmark. I think Denmark can easily beat Germany here. Poulsen and Braithwaite haven't been great at international stage, but I feel like just the midfield alone of Delaney and Højbjerg, you got two unbelievable defensive midfielders, and then Christensen coming off that Champions League is just going to be on such a high. Kasper Schmeichel winning the FA Cup. That team has so much winning, coming off of so much happiness and excitement this year from their respective clubs, are just going to push on and beat this German team quite easily for me.
Yeah, I have to go with Denmark as well, to be honest, majority rule. And I genuinely just don't see Germany scoring against this team. I think, as you mentioned, the Denmark team just has a lot of confidence going into it, a lot of good endings to a lot of seasons, especially on the back line within their center backs and their GK. I think Germany just aren't going to have the attacking power to get enough in behind Denmark. I think Denmark's got to be my pick there to get through.
Well, I think regardless of whether it's Denmark or Belgium, this game will be won in the midfield. So we'll see how that plays out.
Your first right call so far in this round of 16?
Huh.
Well, hopefully he can get at least one of these 8 right. Italy against Austria. What does our 0 for 8 guy think so far?
Italy obviously missing the World Cup major tournament. I think Italy's going to have a good tournament this year, so I've got Italy going through over Austria pretty easily.
Oh, time. You got one right. Italy's going through against Austria quickly. Italy could easily be a Cinderella story, but they're obviously a big nation. Such a youthful team. I think there's not enough hype around this Italy team, and you could see them make the final or semifinals quite easily for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a reason why they haven't lost a game in over 3 years now as an international side. They have a lot of good young talent on that team, and I think they usually get past Austria here.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked that Moise Kean didn't make this team. I would like to see someone on the Italy team possess some of that swagger that they're lacking from Mario Balotelli, which they've had for so many years in the past.
I don't think you're ever going to get another Mario Balotelli, but you might get goal scoring in Ciro Immobile, but you ain't getting the swagger out of him, that's for sure. Moving on to France against Switzerland, at least for me, another clear-cut decision here. But does anyone think that Switzerland's getting through?
Let's just skip this one.
Okay, France.
Yeah,
Brock?
not even.
Brock,
No
you
need to
surprised us
talk
here?
about it. No need to
No?
talk about it.
Sure.
Kylian Mbappe is going to be too much for Switzerland.
Croatia and Poland, one that you could debate a bit more on. What do
I've
we
got
think about
Croatia
here?
going through. I've got Croatia going through. Rebic has found some consistency at Milan. I think Croatia's got the stronger midfield, sorry, and just a better attack. I got Croatia going through here.
Better attack than
I'd have,
Lewandowski?
I'd have to disagree.
Better attack than Lewandowski. Okay.
I think Lewandowski, Zielinski, Bednarak's obviously been a bit shaky at Southampton, but he's still a quality defender going to the Euros. And you still have the better goalkeeper in this, which for me is going to be the winning in the tie here. And I think either Szczesny or Fabianski is better than Croatia's starting goalkeeper. And Szczesny's obviously going to be scoring, but you got Szczesny in net, you have Lewandowski up top. Poland going to win this for me. Croatia's too old. Without Rakitic, without Mandzukic, I just don't see Croatia beating Poland here.
I think I got to side with Croatia here. I think their all-around team is a little bit better for me. Poland do scare me a little bit at the back. If it wasn't for that, I'd feel a little bit more confident. I like their attack, especially with Lewandowski, and I think they have a good midfield as well. But I think the Vikings and Vida himself at the back is going to be enough for Croatia to carry them through to get past Poland for myself. I don't think they get much further than that, but I have them getting past Poland, and I see a nice round of applause for Brock not getting another one wrong, at least from the majority standpoint.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Indeed. Moving on to Spain against North Macedonia. Do Macedonia continue this Cinderella run any further? What do you think, Blaine?
No, this is done. North Macedonia could go through. There's obviously going to be some shocks in this round. You could see North Macedonia, Scotland, Turkey, Switzerland, even against France. There's always one of those in these tournaments where we're going to get wrong, but this is just a straightforward one. I think Spain are going to go through, even with all their COVID scares.
Yeah, I don't think the good old legend Pandev is going to get them through this one. Even as you mentioned, with Spain having some COVID restrictions with the likes of Sergio Busquets and Marcos Llorente not with the team, although they made it back at this point. Yeah, it's no match. Spain just have too good of a team. I don't think North Macedonia are going to be enough of a side to give them any problems. Any thoughts on that one?
Clear cut Spain for me. I don't even know if North Macedonia make it this far, and regardless, I think Spain's going through.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, the battle of the two giants in the Premier League, Kane against Bruno, England against Portugal. One of the more harder round of 16 matches to decide. What does our English and Lane think about this one?
I already said it's coming home, and I got England beating Portugal, but for me, Portugal could go on and win this either way. I think in this tie, you're going to see the winner of the Euros, either England or Portugal, and either way, it could go for me. But I think England's just going to knock it. I think they have a better back line this year with Harry Maguire, Stones, Luke Shaw, and one of their 86 different right backs. And then in net could be the only place that they lose it with Rui Patrice's experience in big tournaments, and who knows who England's going to go with. But yeah, I think England's going to win this. But I think the only thing that hurts England is just the fact that they walk their group and they come first, and they still have to play one of the biggest teams in the tournament is the toughest part about this.
Yeah, it's definitely not an ideal draw for them. You had a bit of a reaction over there, brought to England being kicked. What do you got to say?
You
Wrong.
know, all I hear all the time is it's coming home, and I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I think Portugal are going to take this group. This very well could be Ronaldo's last Euros. I don't think he's going to go out in the round of 16. I think Bruno Fernandes has developed into a top talent, and I think Portugal is going to take this group over England, or this game, sorry.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. It's two very good attacks, of course. Portugal, of course, headlined by their attack with the likes of Ronaldo, with the likes of Bruno, throw in Diego Jota in there, Bernardo Silva. There's so much attacking firepower. England's a little bit more well built, but also headlined by its attack as well. You have the likes of Sancho and Harry Kane. And as you mentioned, this very well could be the winner of the tournament. It's definitely going to be one of the best matches of the tournament. And I think England's got to get the nod here from me. I think England just have a bit of an all-around better team. I trust in their defense a little bit more than I do Portugal's. But this is really a pick 'em for me. It could go either way. But I got England for me. It's not coming home for me, but England gets past around the 16. Moving on to the Dutch against the Scottish. What does Brock think about this one? And did the Dutch get any further?
This one seems pretty obvious for me. Netherlands are going through against Scotland. Netherlands just better team on every aspect, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think Scotland probably don't get any further than this. They just don't have the quality to really give the Netherlands too much of a struggle here. They'll be
Uh,
they'll be
I
fortunate to
really,
get there, but I don't think they get any further than this.
yeah, I was gonna say I really like Scotland's midfield. That's the only thing I like about this team. And the only possible way I see Scotland winning this is if they push the extra time and get penalties or something, or if they have the home field advantage. Because I know some teams are home field, and I'm not sure who has the home field in this game. But that's the only chance. I got Netherlands going through in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
Netherlands. I mean, Scotland obviously a good midfield, but I just don't see it matching up against the likes of De Jong and Wijnaldum.
I agree. I agree. Moving on to the last round of 16 matchups, Turkey against Belgium. This could, of course, be Denmark as well, but in this bracket, it is going to be Belgium. For me, it's definitely got to be Belgium going through. I think they have enough to get past Turkey. Turkey will definitely give them a game, though. I don't think this is going to be comfortable for Belgium. I think Turkey are definitely going to give anyone in this tournament that they play a match, but I think Belgium's going to be the favorite for me to get past Turkey.
Yeah, I think this will be a good game. I think Belgium will go through, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what people are going to expect going into it.
Yeah, I think this will be one of the games of the tournament. Really, I know I'm going to be outsider here, and I'm going to say Turkey. I feel like defenses are going to win this tournament with Demiral and Soyuncu in the back line and Shelik from Los Lille. The confidence these guys are going to have going into the tournament, they're so young, and the back line is just going to win them the game, I feel. And I got Turkey, but I know I'm probably going to be wrong, and I still feel like a big team's going to drop out of this somewhere and so early. I feel like it's going to be Belgium.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And then, I mean, you look at tournaments in the past, and you'll get people that's like, "Oh, you're picking X big upset team to win. Why are you picking them?" And then every once in a while, you'll be right, and you look at the genius, and that very well could be the case here in this Turkey-Belgium matchup this year around for sure. But that is our round of 16 matchups rounded up, and that moves us into the quarterfinals where we see, honestly, a fairly interesting matchup to me at least. Denmark against Italy. What do you think about this one, Lane?
Like I said for the last game, I think this might be also one of the bigger games of the tournament, one of the more interesting games. I don't see this being a defensive threat. I see you're going to have Denmark probably holding more so the ball because Italy are your defensive style team. I feel like Italy is going to nick it. I think it's going to be like a 2-1, 3-2 kind of game. And I just see Italy just moving on. I feel like Denmark's Cinderella story is just going to fall out here at the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one that I agree. I think Denmark are going to hold on to a lot of possession. That tends to be how they like to play. Italy do play that defensive style. Yes, I agree. I mean, we're at the quarterfinals. I hope everything is going to be a game of the tournament at this point, but this one definitely screams that it's going to be two very evenly matched sides. it's going to be a squeaker, like you say, it's 1-0, 2-1, one of those types of games. I probably got to give Italy the edge here as well. I think they've had so much confidence in the international side since they didn't get into the World Cup. They've been so consistent since then. I don't think Denmark is enough to push them out of that run. What do you think, Brock?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I think obviously Denmark have a great midfield, but I think with Donnarumma in net, that's not going to be enough with Denmark's attack being a bit weaker than Italy's. So I've got Italy going through here as well.
Unfortunately, they could face the likes of France in their semi-final matchup. Who do you have, Brock, between France and Croatia?
I think it'll be a great game, but I think this is going to go to France. I believe that is the World Cup Finals matchup right there. So that'll be definitely interesting to see, but I think France will take it.
Yeah, I think France are hard to bet against, realistically. They're just such a strong side on every aspect of the pitch. And as much as Croatia will definitely give them a game, I think France are just superior. Face us off. Their back line is so good. The midfield of Conte and Pogba is so dominant. And I don't think Croatia is going to be the team that will be able to give them enough of a push to scare them too much. And I think France will get through to face Italy in the semifinals. What do you think, Lane?
Well, for me, I honestly didn't even have Croatia getting past Poland. I thought Lewandowski would be the only guy to really struggle or give Poland a struggle or France struggle, my bad. But this Croatia team isn't even close to the team we saw in the World Cup years ago. Many of their players have retired and they've aged even more than they were before and their old team before. And I just don't see this Croatia team making it that far. So I see France walking this game like no other.
Yeah, for sure. I think the France side is just so much dominant than this Croatia team, for sure. Moving on to Netherlands against Belgium, attacking side against a youthful side. Brock, what do you think against the Dutch? This is Belgium's potential last chance in this golden era for them to get some silverware. Is this the year that they can do it?
I don't think so. I think Netherlands go through here. I think with that five back that they've been playing, I think they're going to be able to slow down Belgium's attack, which is going to be obviously highlighted by Lukaku on a great form. But I think Netherlands are going to take this. I think that five back will stay strong, and I think they're going to be able to get some creativity with Depay and Wijnaldum. And I got Netherlands going through here.
I think it's definitely going to be a very close matchup for sure. Any game with Belgium is always going to be interesting. They don't play a shy defensive style of play. I think it's going to be very close, but I can't necessarily disagree with you here that the Netherlands are going to win this. Belgium's defense is probably going to let them down at some point in time in the tournament, as it usually does, although I think it is better than it has been in previous years. I think they actually have some true left mids, left wing backs and right wing backs compared to previous years, but I think the Dutch probably get the better all out of the Belgians here. And it's a disappointing era now for the Belgians if they don't get this tournament. Might be their last shot other than the next World Cup for this group to really have a good chance to get into silverware. The best era ever of Belgian football, and they might not be able to get into the count of it. What do you think here, Lane?
Well, like people remember, I'm kind of having some outside shouts. I had Turkey moving on here. Belgium, for me, their defense is too bad. It's just shocking, and I don't think Courtois will be able to make a billion saves against this Dutch team. I see. You guys think this Dutch game is going to be a lot closer? I feel like Dutch are going to walk this game. If this does happen, Belgium against Holland, I see it being 3-0, 3-1, 4-0. I think Depay and Wood Weghorst just going to have a field day against this Belgian back line. They're just too slow, and Weghorst is even faster than them, which says a lot, really.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Big Horse is not made of pace, but that Belgian back line is made of molasses, so it's definitely could be a field day for the Dutch up top, no doubt.
Right, Spain, England.
Coming home.
Well, we already know what one member of the group's going to say about this, so I'm not even going to listen to his take until the end. But let's see what Brock has to say about this matchup.
Well, if it does play out to be England-Spain, I think England move on, as much as that pains me to say, but I think England move on over Spain. I'm still not convinced that it's not Portugal that we're going to see in that matchup, but at this point with this matchup, I've got England going through here over Spain quite easily.
I unfortunately have to agree. It seems weird because I do have some English heritage, but it's the narrative gets built too much that it's coming home that ultimately, as a non-English fan, you kind of just want to see it not come home. But I think this team is just better than Spain. I think Spain's attack is better than it's been in the last tournament, and Morata's on better form. But I still don't like their attack enough to get enough goals. I think England does take this game. Obviously, Lane thinks he does as well, but by how convincingly and for what reason?
It's coming home. Okay. Let's serious for a second. England are gonna. I wouldn't say it's gonna be a walk. I think it's gonna be a 2-1. It's gonna be a KG 2-1, 1-0. England's back line is gonna be sitting back. Gareth Southgate's gonna be chicken shit football like he always does, and it's gonna be that knockout stage like he always does. And it's going to be a close game, obviously. Spain's midfield is going to be back. Busquets going to be back. It's going to be harder for England to counterattack. I think he's going to favor Sterling like he always does and play him. It's just going to be who he plays up front. He's going to depend on it for me. Southgate could easily throw it against Portugal and Spain and just play a really whack, stupid style of football. But I think he'll deploy the right lineup. And I see a 2-1 win here for England moving on to play the Dutch in the semifinals.
That brings us into the semifinals. England reached the semifinals again in this bracket in an international tournament, but we'll see if they can get to the finals. Our first semifinals matchup is Italy against France. One of the best and one of the favorites against, you could call it a bit more of a dark horse, not necessarily based on their nation, but based on how they are ranked going into this tournament. Do France get back into another international final, or do Italy get themselves back in after missing the last one? What do you think, Lane?
Come to me first. Interesting. I'm gonna have a outside opinion once again. I'm going with Italy. I just love everyone's underestimated this Italy side. They're so young, so interesting after missing the last World Cup. But back line is phenomenal. They're so young, so talented with Donnarumma and net. This Italy generation is gonna be coming through for years to come. I think this is gonna be the building block for them. This game could go either way for me. It's gonna be a cagey 1-0, 1-1 extra time penalties. It's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be a win by 2 goals. It's going to be a very, very cagey game. And Italy is the team with the better defensive mindset, defensive culture of football compared to the French. And I just think with Mancini and that team, how young they are, how resilient they're going to be, I just feel like this is going to be the building block for years to come for Italy.
Yeah, definitely. It is a very good, young, strong side that is definitely going to develop a lot in the future. As you said, it's definitely a pick 'em. It's going to be a close game, and you could definitely go either way. As much as I'd like to pick for Italy, I just don't think France go down here. Their team is just so well built, and again, that midfield duo with Conte and Pogba is just so dominant. I think it's going to be a very close game, and like I said, it's a pick 'em. You could make an argument either way and change my mind on the daily, but I think France for me is probably my favorite to get through here. What do you think here, bro?
I'm gonna go France. I know Italy have been on a great run of form in a lot of these friendlies, but at the end of the day, they missed the World Cup. They, like you said, they have a youthful team, but a lot of these players are lacking the experience in a major tournament like this, and I just think that might catch up to them in a game like this against France if that's who they end up facing. So I'm gonna go with the defending champs here. I think they'll take this.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Wouldn't say
experience
defending.
and valuable.
You're close.
He's in range. He's in range.
Defending champs of the last major tournament here.
There you go.
He has his knowledge. It's just a little bit mixed up.
It's foggy. It's foggy.
It's foggy. It's foggy.
Well, before we go to this one, I think we've got to start this one with Lane again. But if we're going to talk about the Euros rather than just all major international level tournaments, let's say 1996. Does that ring a bell for those England fans? Last time you guys won a Euros. So let's keep that in mind here as you start with this fixture.
So we know Lane's taking England. I'm gonna presume that Brock takes the bias of the Dutch.
Honestly, I do want to say England, but I don't know, man. 1966 for the World Cup, 1996 for Euros. I just don't see them going through here again. I think they're gonna be snuffed. I think they could pick up an injury, and I think the Netherlands, if they do pick up an injury, they're obviously in trouble already losing some key players there. But I got the Netherlands going through here. I think they're gonna be the Cinderella story.
It's definitely a pick 'em as you would hope in the semifinals, no doubt.
Should I go and leave deciding vote to Devin at the end here? I think that's what's probably best.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, I'll go here. What I'd like to see is Jordan Pickford start, and then we wipe out another center back from the Dutch, but that's not going to happen.
His T-Rex arms out there.
Dean Henderson's going to start, hopefully, so we don't have a red card for another keeper. I got England going through. I'm not going to beat around the bush. England's going to go through. At this point in the stage, I feel like the other games are going to be more cagey. I see England winning 2-0, 3-1. It's going to be something like that, or else it's going to be extra time. Brock's silly and he's stupid. Next one, Devin, you're up. Make the deciding vote.
Devin is up.
I just don't see those three right backs making that much of an impact on the pitch.
We didn't call your name. You're up, Devin.
No, those three right backs are going to have a jolly time sitting in their dress clothes. At least one of them is.
We're going to play 4.
Play 4 and then have one guy on the left-hand side of the pitch. He'll probably be
Well,
Sterling. There's only. Game, but
we've gone to Devin. We're not talking about the Dutch anymore.
I think this is a game, but I think you got to go Netherlands.
Yeah, we're talking Devin.
I don't know. This for me. This might be the hardest one to choose in the bracket.
Just because who you're with in the call.
Well, I mean, that plays a part. That definitely plays a part.
Let's think about some of the adversity that Memphis Depay has adversed here with Champions League wins.
Depay has been in Lyon and tore up the Farmers League. So
let's see. But look what he's done against Juventus in the Champions League just last year. Last year.
I could have one good game against Juventus. I don't care about one good game.
Let's look what Harry Kane's done for Tottenham.
Harry Kane.
He's collected dust in the trophy cabinet.
Right.
Is that what we want to talk about?
Yeah, let's see a trophy before we put him as a difference maker here.
We'll be talking there, Dutch.
I mean, that was the problem for England in their last tournament. Was Kane put in a lot of goals, but a lot of them were pens. They need some more open play goals, especially against the veteran back line here with the Dutch. Of course, they don't have the likes of the Van Dijk. The Dutch center back. They still have De Vrij, who of course has a lot of experience as well. They're gonna have the likes of Annie and Holton De Ligt back there as well. I don't think
Lindahl from AZ.
Yeah, I don't think
Dumfries on the right.
Hey, you had your time.
That's enough.
And let's not forget about Dolly Blind.
You're gonna shut up.
A lot of Premier League experience there.
Yeah, on the English team. I don't know why you're talking about the Dutch side.
A lot of Premier League experience there for Dolly Blind. Got experience shutting down players like Kane.
On the bench.
I don't have faith in England. I don't have faith in England. I don't have faith in Southgate. I think the team is good, but I think what some of the decisions that'll be made are going to inevitably be their downfall. I think this England team has the talent to be in the final this season, or potentially in another tournament down the road. But for me, I think it's got to be the Netherlands, and I think we see, based on this bracket, a French and Netherlands final.
And can I just point out a quick little difference maker in that England's-Netherlands game? If we do end up in pens, you said Harry Kane scores a lot of pens. Well, let's not sleep on Tim Krul, the Netherlands goalkeeper, who we could see subbing into the game in the 120th minute, a penalty master.
Stecklenburg, how old are they now?
Stecklenburg doesn't see the pitch. Tim Krul comes in the 120th minute for pens.
Are you able to move from side to side?
I guess we'll have to see.
We won't, because England's going to win it in the first half. Next one.
No doubt we will all be in the call if that matchup happens, and it'll be a frenzy to say the least. But for the last matchup, France versus Netherlands, our final. I have a feeling I know who Lane's going to pick. I have a feeling I know who Brock's going to pick, so I'm probably deciding this one again. But nonetheless, let's see what Brock has to say about this matchup.
You know, I do want to keep believing the Netherlands are a Cinderella story, but I think without Van Dijk and Donny van de Beek, this has got to go to France. Pains me to say that. I do think the Netherlands will have a great tournament and could definitely have a chance at winning this, but I think France will take this, clearly the more dominant side.
Yeah, I agree. I'm honestly surprised that you went against your Dutch, but I'm proud of you. You've put away your bias. You went with the stronger side. You went with the team that should win it. You've taken France. I think France are definitely the favorite again for me as well. It's the boring pick. It's the favored pick. And it's the ones that would have won the last major tournament. But I think it's got to be France for me again. I just don't see a team that's on their level. And as long as this core continues to play at the same level, I think it's got to be France for me to win this one again.
I'm going to say the Dutch are going to win this. I feel like England's going to win it, and I feel like whoever's going to beat England is going to win win the Euros, and I feel like that bum of a coach that they have, De Boer, who screwed up at Atalanta and Crystal Palace, is going to somehow win some silverware, and he's going to beat France in the final.
Well, you know what? I'd like to change my selection
Okay.
actually. If there's backing from another member of this little thing here, so I'm gonna go Netherlands as well.
He just wants to see the Dutch flag like here. Let's figure
I
it
would, I really do.
We're
Good
going.
pick.
We're going back to France. We're
Going
going back.
Dutch.
I'm going Netherlands. I'd like to put it on the
Dutch.
record. I've officially changed over my pick. It is
I'm gonna
Netherlands
go
going
Dutch.
through. Memphis Depay will hoist this championship.
Well, popular opinion says the Dutch. All I know is that if Memphis Depay does host this title, Brock is going to be on an absolute bender for multiple days. I will update you guys on his status on whether he is alive a few days after the final. But that being said, that is our bracket for the Euros tournament. Let me know what you guys think are going to be the contenders and the winners of this title down below. I will leave timestamps for each of the group and when we start the knockout rounds in the discussion of this video if you guys would like to skip to that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.